It's the final game of the Springboks season. Wales taking on the Springboks. This is my preview and prediction. As always, drop your predictions down in the comments. I'd love to see what you guys think of this game. Leave this video a like, and if you haven't, please hit that subscribe button. Now, let's get into this game because it's a very one-sided David versus Goliath type of situation, right? You got the almighty Springboks, sitting number one in the world, looking to go 11 out of 13 wins this season. And then you've got Wales, who have lost their last 11 games in a row, which is a record in Welsh rugby. Gatland is under some serious pressure. Rassie Erasmus couldn't be in a better position as a Springbok coach. And we've kind of seen Rassie Erasmus take a couple of risks in the team that he's chosen. And Gatland has also, I think they've made 4 changes to their lineup to try do something against the Springboks here, right? So Rassie Erasmus, there has been some news that Oxencho will not be starting. So since the last video, Ox will not be starting. Thomas du Toit will be switching side of the scrum, and Volkolo will be coming in. So not too much of a change. Volkolo, I love to see that getting another opportunity in a Springbok jersey, and Thomas du Toit on the other side it kind of shows why he's in the Springbok lineup, right? For that utility, because he can switch from one side of the scrum to the other. Now, let's talk about how Wales can potentially try and stop the Springbok side. Now, Joe Marlett said it quite perfectly this week in that the Springboks plan A is what Wales need to try and diffuse. Wales need to be good at scrums, they need to be good at line-out time, and they need to be good in the contact and at ruck time. If they can disrupt the Springboks in either one of those facets, if they can get one over them in the scrums, one over them in the lineouts, or slow that ball down at ruck time, then the Springboks have to move to plan B, and plan B isn't as good as plan A. Yes, it's still a very good plan, but it's not as good as that Springbok plan A where we win lineouts, we win scrums, we get forward, we score tries out wide. So if Wales, much like Argentina and Ireland did to us in the only 2 losses that we've had this year, in those 2 games, Argentina were very, very good in the scrums, they were very good at ruck time. Ireland slowed us down at ruck time, they were very good in the lineouts. So if they can disrupt the Springboks, then they can get a foot in the door. I'm not saying they're going to, I'm just saying that's how they get a foot in the door. And even in those Ireland and Argentinian games that the Springboks ended up losing, they lost both of them by 1 point. So even if you can disrupt plan A, you still have to do a lot of work to beat plan B. I mean, Ireland, who quote unquote one of the best teams in the world, disrupted that plan and still only won by 1 point with a last minute drop goal to win it in Durban. So Wales have a massive prospect ahead of them, but they do have some players to do it, right? I want to sort of go through the Wales lineup because we haven't done that yet, and kind of, if you're a South African and you don't know too much about the Welsh lineup, I'm going to give you a couple of players that you need to potentially watch out for, and some guys who can be game changers. So the first one is their captain, Dewey Lake, who is their hooker. He's been playing some phenomenal rugby, and there is some chat around him potentially starting and playing for the British and Irish Lions next year when they play against Australia. So Dewey Lake is going to have a tough task up against Johan Grobler, but at least for his sake, he's not going up against Bongi Munambe or Malcolm Marx, well, at least till the second half. Then you've got Archie Griffin, who is their number 3. He's going to have a massive time at scrum time against Thomas du Toit. He did very, very well against Australia last week. In that it was probably one of his best performances up front, but it's a different situation this week with Volkolo and Thomas du Toit on either side of the scrum. So he's definitely going to have to step up. He's only 23, and he's sort of one of those Welsh guys that are coming through quite nicely. Then the big chat is Sam Costello, right, who's now coming in that number 10 jersey, and I think this is the battle of the game for me, is Jordan Hendrickse versus Sam Costello, because Sam Costello hasn't been the Wales main fly-off, right? They've had a couple of switches. He's played some cameos off of the bench. One of them was at wing, one of them was at fly-off. So they really throwing him into the deep end here, but he's coming up against Jordan Hendrickse, who's also fighting for his spot in the Springbok lineup, right? The Springboks have played Handré Pollard, Manie Libbok, Sasha Feinberg, and Ngumazulu, Jordan Hendrickse at fly-off this season. So for Jordan, it's a massive opportunity for him to really show what he's been doing, because I don't think he did that in his debut against Wales all the way back in June. I think this is a perfect opportunity for him in a very, very good Springbok side against one of the weakest opponents in world rugby at the moment to really take the game by the scruff of the neck and show why he deserves a spot in the Springbok lineup. So I think that's going to be a very, very interesting battle. Jordan Hendricks is obviously a very physical number 10. He's got a very good boot. He's a very good defensive fly-off as well as attacking fly-off. And I think if we can develop Jordan Hendricks over the next couple of years, then that fly-off position is looking very, very good for the Springboks. So Sam Costello has a lot on his plate, right? He's going to have loose forwards running at him. He's going to have Eben Etzebeth when he comes on, but he's going to have Sean Klein and Franco Mostert lining him up to hit him. So he's going to have a tough time there in that number 10 position, but I think that is the battle for the game. Can he pin the Springboks back? Is his kicking going to be good? Is he going to be able to take the game by the scruff of the neck like Dan Biggar did back in his day? And then obviously they've got some dangerous backline players. Rio Dyer, I don't think I need to speak too much about him. I think quite a few South Africans do know who Rio Dyer is. He's lethal on the wing, but when you put him up against Cheslin Colby or Kurtley Arendse, then he's going to have a tough day, right? Because, and especially with Damien Delende and Jesse Creel starting as well, they're very, very good defensive partnership in the midfield for the Springboks, and they shift outward to cover the wings. So if Chesy or Kurtley Arendse ends up getting stepped by Rio Dyer, then you've got to deal with Jesse Creel, then you've got to deal with Damien Delende, and then you've got to deal with Ulrich Loh, who's playing 7 and sort of covering that as well. So while Rio Dyer is dangerous, he has been quite quiet this season, and I do expect the Springboks to close him down a little bit. And then Blair Murray, they're number 15. He's shifted from wing to 15 for this clash against the Springboks. I think he's going to have a very, very difficult day. He's going to have to be on top form if Wales are to have a good test match against the Springboks, because, like I said, Jordan Hendricks has a great boot. Apalele Fassi is very, very good under the high ball. You got Chesy and you got Kurtley Arendse chasing those kicks. So, and don't get me wrong, they will be running rugby, but the Springboks are going to send bombs up. That roof at the Principality is going to be closed. So it's not just going to be running rugby. We are going to try putting them back. And trust me when I tell you that Jordan Hendricks can kick the ball a mile high. And then Blair Murray is going to have so many Springboks chasing that ball. So he's going to have a tough night. And if he doesn't get up and claim those balls and get the possession back for Wales, then again, Wales are going to be in for a very, very long day. So that's sort of the players to watch from a Wales standpoint. Maybe a couple that I can highlight from South Africa who I'm very, very interested to see go is Cameron Hanekom coming off the bench. We've spoken a lot about sort of Cameron Hanekom, and he needs an opportunity in a Springbok top. Well, he's going to become the 52nd player to play for the Springboks this season, and I think he's definitely one for the future. It's going to be interesting to see whether he plays 7 or if he plays 8, if he comes on for Ulrich Loh or if he comes on for Jasper Visser. Maybe he comes on for Jasper in that number 8 position, and then that 7-8 partnership between Ulrich Loh and Cameron Hanekom is like they play for the Bulls. So maybe that is the synergy that Rassie Erasmus will be going for. I've touched on Jordan Hendricks, and then I think the last thing I want to touch on is that combination between Jaden Hendricks and Jordan Hendricks, which is very, very important. It's been a massive talking point this season of that 9 and 10 combination for the Springboks. We really need to nail down. We've seen Kobus Reinach and Andre Pollard. We've seen Jaden Hendricks and Marnie Lebok. We've seen Grant Williams and Marnie Lebok. And now we get to see the two brothers, Jaden Hendricks and Jordan Hendricks. And if they have a good day, they obviously know each other better than most. So if they have a good day, they both have good kicking ability. Jaden Hendricks' box kicks are very good. I would just love to see Jaden Hendricks getting that ball out of the ruck a lot quicker and lighting that back line on fire. In terms of a prediction, look, the Springboks are massive, massive favourites here. For Wales to win, it's 16-1. I think if the Springboks might start slow. Historically, they have been slow starters, and if Wales can disrupt that plan A that we spoke about, line out scrums and around the ruck, then maybe the Springboks will start a little bit slower as they go from plan A to plan B. But I think they're going to hit the ground running, and I think if the my prediction is going to be Springboks 35 points plus. And I think that's even generous, because this could be a 60-70 pointer if the Springboks are really firing and if Wales sort of fall apart. It's a big test match for Gatlin, might be his last in charge if they end up losing it, which will be quite sad. But there's a lot on the line here for the Welsh side as well as Warren Gatlin. So they are going to come out, they've got nothing to lose, and that makes them desperate. But I'm going Springboks by 35 points or more. You guys let me know what you think down in the comments. How many points do you think the Springboks or Wales are going to win by? Make sure you leave this video a like and hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.